$100 million for having your own podcast, for talking to some of the greatest minds of our era, and sometimes even your friends. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about how podcasts make money. So I thought it would be a great idea to talk about Joe Rogan's podcast a little bit before we get started. To watch the Joe Rogan Experience, he just signed, according to some sources, a licensing deal with Spotify for over $100 million. Just imagine that, getting paid over $100 million for having your own talk show, just talking about whatever it is that you're interested on, and having to interact with some of the greatest minds of our generation. That's exactly what Joe Rogan is doing at this moment. If you don't know who Joe Rogan is, he has his own show, his own podcast here on YouTube, and he's been doing it for over 10 years. He has over 1,000 episodes, and he talks to presidential candidates all the way to multi-billionaires and a bunch of people in different areas. And he says it's been a great experience and a great blessing to have the opportunity to make money from a profession like that. In today's world, everyone wants a podcast, and I'm pretty sure that because of quarantine and all that, a lot of people have actually taken the step and began their own. I've even thought about beginning my own. So I wanted to talk about the ways that you can make money from podcasts. People have to acknowledge what the true power or the true leverage is in this business, and basically in any business that there is out there. That is attention. Attention is by far the most important part of any business. If someone has attention, you basically have an audience that is devoted to whatever it is that you give them in value. Whether it's the conversations that Joe Rogan has in his podcast, whether it's motivational, whether it's about financial tips, anything. When you create an audience, the real money, the real power is in the attention that people are going to give you, because having the ability to say something, to preach something, and people wanting to listen to you is what actually is worth millions and millions of dollars. The Rogan Experience has millions of views in every episode, so he has a lot of leverage. When eventually, like Garyvee says, leverage gets monetized, especially when it's in that magnitude. And it's very important to recognize that, because a lot of people take the fast route and they decide to promote products that are just trash or things that are not useful for their audience, and so they lose reputation, or they can be seen as sellouts. The audience decides to go somewhere else. That's why the Joe Rogan Experience has basically no ads that he promotes, no sponsorships. He just has his brand and he brings people on, and that's how he makes insane amount of money. Acknowledging that the real value is attention, we could go to the next step, and it's analyzing 3 ways I could see podcast or any other type of shows making money. These have been used with TV throughout the years, and I'm sure that they're basically the same. They just work in a modern way, because now anyone can do it if you have an audience. So it's nothing new. It's just the way I see monetizing a podcast is possible. And there's just 3 basic ones that I think are the most important. The first way of monetizing your podcast could be through sponsorship deals. That's when a brand or a company comes to your podcast or comes to you and they say that they want to promote a product, or that they want to partner with your brand or with your name. Now what happens is they'll give you a product or whatever it is, and usually what people do is they have a really short segment or a really short break during their shows, and they mention the company, they describe their product, they say what they do, and that drives attention to their company. They drive attention to their company, and that's how they make money, because that same attention, that same audience may feel interested in purchasing whatever the sponsor company is offering. That's why attention is the real value in any show or any type of business. So attention is exactly that. As attention is the potential that companies will have of people purchasing their product or service, and that's what occurs. People see the ad, or they see the host of the podcast talking, and they find out about the product or service, and they go to the company's website or page or store, and there they purchase the product or service. It's a very powerful type of marketing that is definitely seen over the years, and I'm sure that it's nothing new, but it's been used throughout many industries, and if it keeps being used, it's because it does work. It's marketing, it's publicity. So I'm sure that's one of the biggest ones, or one of the biggest ways that podcasts can make money through sponsorship deals. The second way of monetizing a podcast is by creating your own merch. And what I mean by creating your own merch is basically by having your own brand or your own logo and putting it on different products. Many YouTubers do it with t-shirts, with pants, clothing in general. Other YouTubers or other brands do it with different products, but essentially it's that creating your own brand, your own logo, and putting it on different products that you could sell to your audience. Again, audience is everything. Given that your audience will feel identified with your content, you will do better in sales because people will want to buy whatever it is you do. People make millions and millions of dollars this way, earn millions and millions of dollars just by showing the product in their videos. And since so many people watch it, that's how they make money, and they make very, very, very great money. Lastly, the third way of monetizing your podcast is through ads. Now, this is very similar to the first one, which are sponsorship deals, but ads usually work differently in YouTube because of Google AdSense. Google AdSense is what puts your ads in the video. Depending on your type of content, you'll get different type of ads, so you could make some ad revenue from that. I think in general this is one of the smallest revenue streams for a lot of YouTubers because their content is not that appropriate for many, but other YouTubers who keep their content PG make insane amounts of money if their topic is really complicated and if their audience is really specified or really niched down. It's very important to take into consideration what you're going to talk about and all that, but the most important part is acquiring an audience. That's the real value of any YouTuber or any media company. Your own audience that is going to be loyal to you, that's going to be legit to you. That way you have leverage, you have some sort of power because people listen to what you say. And when this happens, there's definitely an opportunity to make money from it. It just happened with Joe Rogan for $100 million. What will you do with $100 million? Just by talking, just by having conversations with the greatest people of our generation, or even some of his friends. A lot of his friends just show up to his show and they just talk about stuff that they like. That's how simple it's to make money in today's world, in today's podcast, all because of the internet. So my way of seeing it is that there's three basic ways of making money. I'm sure there could be other ways of making money, but those are the three biggest ones: ads, sponsorship deals, and your brand, merch, your own thing. So those are the three ways that you could apply to make money from your podcast. If you're thinking about starting your own podcast, know that you can make money in the long run, but you have to keep at it for a very long time so that you can create an audience, that people could know where to find you and that they really want to watch your content. But it definitely takes a lot of time. Joe Rogan has been doing this for over 10 years. He has over 1,000 episodes, which is equivalent to doing a podcast every single day for 3 years. That's an insane number of episodes. So I think that if you want to make money, it's definitely a possibility, but it does take time. And if you don't want to take 10 years, you could also see the example of Call Her Daddy, which I just recently found out about. This Call Her Daddy podcast has been going on for like 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, and they've been making insane amount of money. I think the possibilities are out there. I think you just have to get started in whatever it is that you want to do and just keep going at it. And through the years, you'll definitely be able to monetize if your content is good and if people actually enjoy watching you. Internet just brings us an insane amount of opportunity, and it would be crazy not to try one, just to try to achieve one, because we could basically do it from our homes, from whatever it is. I'm filming this video from my phone, so the amount of opportunity we have is insane. So if you have something in your mind you want to try online, just go for it. Just try it, because I'm sure that you may be able to achieve something if you're persistent and if you're consistent with your content and with the quality. The real power is attention. That's everything. And I learned this from Garyvee. I've seen so much of his content that that's the real leverage. That's where the real money is, just having attention. When people want to see you, there's money to be made. So take that into account. There's an insane number of ways to make money. So just start whatever it is you're thinking about, and I'm sure at some point you'll be able to monetize. Just try to enjoy it as much as you can, and at some point you'll definitely do something great. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.